So, going on from where we got to yesterday, about the threefoldness that we talked about. We were talking, yes, we finished yesterday with what? What did we have? So sort of threefoldness that's reflected again and again in different ways in the human being and in human society. And what I want to look at, though we looked at it last year, but look at again this year, how this threefoldness is found again and again in different ways. And so there's, whether you're looking at the tail or the trunk or the knee or whatever it is, you can see each time you look you see slightly different pictures. But when you begin to get a formative picture, you can begin to see things happening in different ways. So, in society, there are things that Rudolf Steiner saw as, I might say, what was effective in society and in different aspects, rather than what you might say was the previous kind of aspect of society where you had the aristocracy, I was going to call them mediocrity, the bureaucracy, and then the working class. That was the kind of threefold society that led to all these wars in a certain sense, because of and Rudolf Steiner produced this thing as an answer, saying that this is perhaps a more meaningful to people, have a more meaningful looking at society, and it's a more structure, sort of structural in a different way, not hierarchical, but you look at the activities that happen in society. And so he talked about a spiritual, a social, and an economic spheres of activities. And though you can look at these in more detail, let's look at them. Another name that you could work with it is spiritual, but also to do the whole cultural life of society is sort of one whole area of concern. Social and political is another, and the economic or productive life is another, and everyone's involved in them all. And then you see that what is the thing that begins to make the difference? You say in the spiritual cultural sphere, the activity there is primarily for oneself. It's working with the arts, for instance. You're expressing yourself. In your education, you are developing your particular skills. In science, another aspect of there that you can be, again, it's the individual trying to make sense and understanding of the world, and so on. So, and there's different aspects there in the cultural life that you can have. What I said arts, the science, the more in the knowing, and in the will aspect of creating and doing things, doing your own thing in a way. It's sort of that's sort of the characteristic, you might say, of the spiritual cultural life. It's to do with the individual expressing themselves or working. But when you come to the social political, it's really when it's between two or more people. If you have some sort of conflict that needs to be resolved, then there'll be some kind of law or thing that sort of helps to regulate that. For instance, you can be driving along the road, and for some of the time around here, it doesn't matter where you drive on the road, it's all right, because no one else is there. But hang on, here's somebody coming. Now, I'm an American now, I'd better get onto the right-hand side of the road, because the other guy will be having a kind of realization, there's another car, and he'll be on the right hand, whereas in New Zealand I know I have to get on the left-hand side of the road and hope the other guy has the same idea. So it's a kind of law and an understanding between people about resolving potential conflict. So this whole thing, so politics, the realm of politics is to try and find laws that help resolve conflicts. A key part of a politician is they actually have to listen. Because they have to, if they don't listen, they won't know what the problems are that need to be solved. We get too many politicians talking rather than listening. And certainly there, of course, is a place to talk, but you need to have listened first and as it were, have a good picture of what are the issues that people are struggling with. We've got a lot of history where, you know, laws have been set. Some of them have been superseded and are now creating more conflict than they're resolving. But there really needs to be an element of listening to others, and then out of that being able to speak and sort of offer solutions. But there has to be the give and take. You know, in England they call it a parliament. What does parliament mean? Parley means to talk. It should be a kind of conversation, whereas here, for oneself, isn't necessarily a conversation. You know, you're busy doing your own thing. It can be lonesome in one sense, doing this. It doesn't always, but it has a character. You're doing your own thing. But now you're trying to solve it there. And with the economic realm, now this is where I think the world doesn't quite get it right in this picture. You're working for others. Now, if you're a farmer producing, what's out there, soy or corn, or something like that. Now, there's, I would say considerably, we'll say it's soy, there's considerably more soy than that guy can eat or use. What is he actually doing? He's doing it for other people. Because it would be, you know, and it's only his value that the sense that he can produce something that somewhere can discover this is what other people actually want. And there's quite a lot of feeling, you might say, in economic realm. Oh, what am I doing? Yeah, well, I'm actually out there, I'm trying to make a living, I'm trying to get a good salary, you know, it's sort of, and you see, it's all about yourself. You'll get a good salary if, in fact, what you do is what's needed by others. The first element is meeting the needs of others. And so that's you might say this is a polaric element here. This is for yourself, and here this is for others. But if so, for instance, somebody can go and work in a productive sector, and they will take their skills that they've developed there, and then over here they can put it to use for others. And so they actually shift. They shift place, as it were. But you need your education first to develop the skills for yourself in order to be able to come over here. And you can see now again emphasizing this, the spiritual is to do with the individual and the personality. This, you know, that's the key thing here. In the social, there's the family, the state, with a common language. Again, through talking, you need to have a common language. And this, of course, is a catch within the world where there are different languages. It's much harder to have this communication, and having world peace would be. I'm not advocating that we have to have a world language, but